Welcome back to the next session on professional project management for beginners. In this session, we will discuss about uh, the success criteria of projects. We'll discuss about the success criteria of projects. We'll also discuss about the project manager's skills, and we'll discuss about various organizational structures. The reason being, these organization structures determines the power equations within the organization. So as a project manager, before getting into projects, it is very important to understand the organizational structures of all the stakeholders within the projects. We'll also try to understand organizational process assets, enterprise environmental factors, because these things have major impact on project planning. We'll also try to understand project management office, the various types of project management offices. So this is the agenda for this session. Here is the success criteria for a project. Basically, when do we say that a project is successful? A project is considered as successful if it is completed within the agreed upon time, which is nothing but the schedule, within the agreed upon cost, which is nothing but the approved budget, and it should meet the scope, which is agreed upon. And on top of these things, it should also accomplish the business case for which this project was initially started. In the previous versions of the project management body of knowledge, the success criteria was only time, cost, and scope. Hence, we used to call it as the triple constraints of a project, that is time, cost, and scope. And of late, accomplishment of the business case also got added into the success criteria of project. So a project must get over within the agreed upon time, within the agreed upon cost, and it should meet the scope, and also it should meet the business case of the project for which it was undertaken in the first place. That makes project management a bit more strategic in nature, because let us say if we complete a metro rail project on time, within budget, and met the scope, but still if people are not using it, then the project will become a failure. So, and project management must be worried about accomplishment of the business case of the project as well. Here, let us take a look at the interpersonal skills of a project manager. Project management is all about getting things done through others. So the project manager should demonstrate good leadership skills, good team building skills. Project manager should be able to motivate others. So in order to do that, project manager must be able to motivate himself or herself. The project manager should have excellent communication skills. Here we are not talking about English speaking skills, because our English is of no use if the majority of the stakeholders are speaking some other language, maybe Spanish or Hindi or Japanese. Communication need not be always verbal communication. It can be written communication. It can be through gestures. body language. Then, as a project manager, we should be able to influence people because many of the key stakeholders of the project may not be reporting to you directly, but at the same time, as a project manager, we should be able to influence them to get things done. Project managers should have excellent decision-making skills. Uh, Many of the decisions can be ad hoc, but majority of the decisions must be data-driven. Decision-making skills is very, very important. And project managers should have excellent political and cultural awareness because in mega projects, things are not that straightforward. There could be uh, heavy amount of politics being played, and different cultures may be uh, working in the project. So an awareness of political and cultural awareness will help the project manager to deal with them proactively. And the project manager should have excellent negotiation skills, then trust building, conflict management. It could be technical conflict management or financial conflict management, schedule conflict management, so cultural conflict management. So there could be because the success criteria can vary from stakeholder to stakeholder. The success criteria that is applicable for the owner may not be applicable for the contractor. There could be conflicts of interest between owner, contractors, subcontractors, and suppliers, which will result in conflicts. So the project manager should have excellent conflict management skills as well. Project manager should act as an excellent coach to the rest of the team. Uh, Organizational cultures and styles have a major impact on project management. Organizations, so we have to create shared vision, mission, values, beliefs, and expectations. So, as discussed earlier, there are multiple stakeholders. They may have their own visions and mission values, but in order for the project to be successful, there should be a shared vision, mission, and values and beliefs so that all these people can drive the project to success. Uh, Within a project, we are supposed to abide by regulations, policies, methods, and procedures. So if you're doing a project for, let us say, General Motors, you're a contractor to General Motors, you're supposed to follow the regulations, policies, methods, and procedures of General Motors. We should be aware of the motivation and reward systems. Some organizations may be high risk-taking organization. In such organizations, if you take calculated high risk, then you may be rewarded. Whereas in other organizations, sometimes you take high risk, sometimes that can act against us. We should be aware of the risk tolerance of the organization. Some organizations are they promote risk taking. Some organizations do not. They are risk averse. So we should be aware of those things. And as a project manager, one should have the view of leadership, hierarchy, authority, and relationships within the stakeholder organizations. And one should be aware of code of conduct, work ethic, and work hours. And one should be aware of operating environments. In one project in the Middle East, they start the work at 5 a.m. and stop by 11 a.m. Then they start by 3 p.m. and continues till 7 p.m. One should be aware of that. And many times they have prayer times which are non-negotiable. And this will vary during the festival seasons. And uh, when the temperature crosses 50 degrees, it can be a national holiday. Um, so one should be aware of these things so that we can function effectively as a project manager in these organizations. Then an awareness of organization structures also will help us to manage projects better, because these organizational structures have a direct uh, impact on the project manager's authority levels. Basically, we have these types of organization structures. The first one is a functional organization. Then we have a weak matrix organization, then balanced matrix organization, strong matrix organization, and a projectized organization. So in a functional organization, we have the topmost manager, maybe the CEO. Then we have the next level of managers like vice president operations, vice president marketing, vice president R&D, vice president sales. And in most of the functional organization, for example, a manufacturing organization will have this kind of a structure. A hospital will have this kind of a structure. A bank will have this kind of a structure. So in a functional organization, the functional manager has maximum authority level than a project manager. For example, if your project consists of implementing an ERP system in a manufacturing unit, then the functional manager, the operations manager will have more authority than the project manager. So this must be, one must be aware of this. Then we have a matrix organization. Whenever or wherever we see dual reporting, each team member, if they are reporting to two managers or more than one manager, then it is an indication that it is a matrix organization. Now, team member one may report to R&D head for R&D related activities, and he may report to product manager X for the product related activities. Similarly, a team member here may report to the product manager X for the product related activities and may report to the manufacturing manager for the manufacturing related activities. So whenever you see dual reporting within projects, that is an indication that it is a matrix organization. Within a matrix organization, there can be three types of matrix organization. The first one is a strong matrix. In a strong matrix, uh, the project manager has more authority than the functional manager. In a balanced matrix, both the project manager and the functional manager share the same level of authority levels. Whereas in a weak matrix, whereas in a strong matrix, the project manager will have more authority than the functional manager. In a weak matrix, the project manager will have lesser authority than the functional manager. Whereas in a balanced matrix, both the project manager and the functional manager have the same level of authority levels. So an understanding of this will help us while classifying the stakeholders based on their power and interest categories. Then comes the projectized organization. an example of a projectized organization is, see, all their work will be managed as a project. Maybe Infosys is a projectized organization. TCS is a projectized organization. L&T is a projectized organization. That means whatever they're doing is a project. In a projectized organization, the project managers have the highest level of authority because they are the revenue earners within the organization. So we discussed about three types of organization: functional organization, matrix organization, and projectized organization. And we may have combinations of these as well. We call it as composite organization, where some departments may be functional in nature, some other departments can be projectized, where some other departments, R&D could be matrix, a contracts division can be projectized, whereas their operations division or their maintenance division can be functional. So these type of combinations we call as composite organization. How this is connected to project management? Because as discussed before, within projects, we have different types of stakeholders. We have owners, we have contractors, subcontractors, consultants, suppliers. Supplier can be a manufacturing organization, and they may have they may be functional in nature, whereas consulting organization could be a matrix organization, whereas the client could be a functional organization, or the owner could be a functional organization. So as a project manager, if you can understand the organizational structures of the stakeholders, then it becomes easy for us to prioritize them and develop strategies to deal with them for effective stakeholder engagement. Now, characteristics of organizational structures. In a functional organization, project managers will have little or no authority. In a weak matrix, project managers have very low authority. In a balanced matrix, project managers will have low to moderate authority levels. In a strong matrix, project managers have moderate to high level of authority levels. And in a projectized organization, project managers will have high to almost total authority. Resource availability: if you are a project manager within a functional organization, because you have very less authority, sometimes resource availability can be little or none. And who manages the project budget? In a functional organization, the budget is managed by functional manager. Project manager's role in a functional organization could be part-time, and project management administrative staff could be part-time, whereas in a strong matrix or a projectized organization, the project management administrative staff can be full-time. So this gives us a fair idea about project managers' authority levels within within different types of organizational structures like functional, weak matrix, balanced matrix, strong matrix, projectized, and composite. Now, before getting into project planning and execution, project managers should have a fair degree of understanding of organizational process assets. When we are executing projects, we are supposed to leverage the organizational process assets of your own organization as well as other stakeholders. Examples of organizational process assets are the processes to be followed in the project historical data, policies of the organization, intellectual property of the organization. So if you're executing a project for, let us say, Boeing, and you're from, let us say, Infosys, uh, you should know the intellectual property you have in that project domain, as well as you should know the intellectual properties of Boeing you can leverage for your project. That is the case with other things as well, processes, historical data, policies, and intellectual property. So these things, this is just a sample. You can add to this in reality. Then enterprise environmental factors. So before getting into project planning, we should have a fair degree of understanding of climatic conditions of the project site, the labor laws to be followed, national holidays, festivals, and customs, and the geographical conditions. You should know the distribution of the project sites, the shortest routes to reach these places. Can you go by road, or do you need a helicopter to reach that place? Labor laws, the national holiday, labor laws to be followed in every other country. Climatic conditions, when is the summer, when is winter, and all those things. National holidays, festivals, customs, everything. In the Middle East, during Ramzan time, people work only half day. People, there is prayer time in the Middle East, so that is non-negotiable. So we should factor in for these things. In summertime, people will work only up to 11 o'clock, and after that, they can work only from 3 p.m. onwards. So one should have an awareness of the enterprise environmental factors, uh, which will help us to plan and execute projects realistically. Then another key concepts to be understood is the project management office, or the PMO. It is a management structure. It standardizes the project-related governance processes, facilitates the sharing of resources, methodologies, and tools and techniques. It is like, because we have the finance department, we have the HR department. Likewise, in organizations, there can be a separate department called Project Management Office, who provides the necessary support that is required for project teams to be successful. And their authority levels varies based on the type of PMO they are. Now, we have three types of PMOs. The first one is the supportive PMO. They just they play a consultative role to project, how to estimate, what are the trainings required, maybe provide those training, uh, define the processes. So that is a supportive PMO. Then we have controlling PMOs. They support and requires compliance. That means if it is a controlling PMO, they have more authority than the supportive PMO, and they can do audits and stuff like that. And we have directive PMOs. They take control of the projects by directly managing the projects. Uh, they are very powerful. Directive PMOs are very powerful. Maybe most of the project managers will report into the PMO, and based on the project's needs, it is the PMO who will allocate the project managers to the projects. So they are very powerful. Three types of PMOs: supportive, controlling, and directive PMOs. There can be organizations without PMOs as well. So, but most of the organizations, medium to large size, they have PMOs. So we discussed about the success criteria of project, the project manager's skills, the various organizational structures like functional matrix, strong matrix, weak matrix, balanced matrix, projectized, composite. We also discussed about organizational process assets like procedures, guidelines, intellectual properties, lessons learned, historical data. And we also discussed about enterprise environmental factors uh, like the uh, like the government policies, national holidays, the climatic conditions, the political climate, etc. We also discussed about project management office and three types of project management offices: consultative, directive, and there was one more. Supportive, controlling, and directive PMOs. Now, with that, we have completed the basic definitions of project management. In the previous session, we discussed about projects, then programs, portfolio, operations, project management, roles, organization structures, organization process assets, enterprise environmental factors, and PMOs. So by now, you should be aware of the basic definitions. Uh, uh, if you have not seen the video on definitions for projects, programs, portfolio, and operations, uh, I request you to go back and watch those videos so that your knowledge will be complete on the basic definitions of project management. Thank you. Thank you very much.